Okay, the last thing that we need to do in the first chapter here is look at printing issues. And this is where the instructions over here in this book, which are oriented towards the Windows version of Excel, don't really apply all that well to the Mac version. And that's actually coming up in the second half of this portion of the chapter. All right, so the first half is actually pretty straightforward. So we are looking at our general merchandise spreadsheet that we set up over the course of the prior chapter. And I'm just going to walk through how to set up a page to actually print this thing in the dead middle of the page, right? So what you do is you go to the Page Layout tab over here, and you click the margins, and let's see, they want to have it wide margins. And then you click the orientation button and select landscape, which it already is. And then you click on the arrow at the bottom right of the page setup category to launch the page setup options dialog box. Okay, so here's the page setup category over here. And here's the dialog box. And of course, we could have done both of those maneuvers that we already did, right? We could have selected landscape through this dialog. We could have selected the margins through this dialog as well. And later what we're going to do is select our header and footer here. But what we want to do here is over in the margins tab, we want to center it on the page horizontally and vertically, which again, I've checked these already. Okay. So that's that. Now the next thing that they note is that it's a good idea to set up your spreadsheets for printing even if you don't intend to print them. And that's absolutely true, because even if you're just handing them in and uploading them into a Canvas assignment, when I look at them to grade, right, what I see is sort of a preview version. So if the spreadsheet is not neatly aligned and set for printing, it's going to be a problem for me. And if you're just emailing things around, it's the same issue. Sometimes people, your colleagues would only have print preview to look and see what it was that you sent them. So it's important to use the right kind of formatting and page formatting as well. And then they go through the details of all these different commands. This is a nice little resource for you. And then the next thing that they have you do is set up for headers and footers. And so you'll notice that if we click on the insert ribbon here in a Mac environment, the way that they ask, right, there's no option for inserting headers and footers. Okay, and then if you go up to the top in a Mac, if you go up to this top insert menu as well, there's no option for headers and footers. Right now, so the easiest way to do this, all you want to do, just go back to that page layout tab and go to the page setup. And then you can select from the header and footer option here. And you'll get a menu for header and footer that looks different from what they show you here. You can get to this kind of an interface, but I personally find it really clunky. I'd rather just look at the header and footer on its own menu and just set it up the way that they ask you to. And so they ask you to, let's see, make a custom header. So this is what you want to do. You want to make a custom header, and then in the left portion, you want to have the current date in here, right? So you notice there's all these menu options here, and this one, if you just hover over it, it'll insert a date. Okay, and this one here will insert the time of day. All right, so but we just want the date over here on the left-hand side, and then we want to put our name in the center section of the header, and hit OK, and that'll get us out of the header. And so then we can move on to the footer, and what they want to do is on the far right of the footer, they want you to select the page number. So let's select a custom footer just to do it the way that we want, and they want on the far right hand side, they want the number. And here again we have page numbers and number of pages here. So page number is what they're looking for. Sometimes you like footers that say page 1 of 10, right? So that's what this number of pages here is. By the way, you could write the word page, and then it'll show up as page 1. Let's try that. Okay, you see how it shows up as page 1? Okay, so we hit OK there. So we're out of that menu, and then if we say and look at it, so if I say print here, it'll give me a preview screen. So here's the preview of what this should look like. It's got the date on the left-hand side at the top. It's got my name in the middle. It's got the page number on the bottom right, and it is centered in the paper and laid out in a landscape fashion. So that, my friends, is chapter 1. You now know how to make really nice looking spreadsheets with some very basic computations in them, but with attention to detail and a real professional looking output.